Yes.
There seems to be no love lost between you and Mr. Henry, and yet I understand that we have you to thank for his illustrious legal career, which probably brought him to prominence in the first place. Is
Next question. For those of you who are fortunate enough to be in the back and not hear that one, there was an implication that somehow Mr. Henry and I have difficulties. Let me address this once and for all. To please put your mind at ease, put your concerns at rest. I will be succinct, I will be calm and impassioned. How that man ever became a lawyer in the first place is nothing short of a standing miracle, and I'm talking of Old Testament proportions. Now, he claims to be self-taught, and to his credit, do you know he takes pride in devoting almost a full 3 weeks in preparation? And when he sat before his panel of lawyers, 4 in number, to determine whether or not he met the qualifications to pass the bar, to physically enter that portion of the courtroom in which only officers of the court are permitted to pass in the administration of justice, it took less than 5 minutes for 2 of those attorneys to stand up and run from the room, saying under no circumstances should this young lout be allowed anywhere near a courtroom. Well, the other 2 were nowhere near as critical, obviously. Legend has it they saw in him a gift of oration, a gift of rhetoric. No skills as a lawyer, but by God they saw the gift of oration. And the story goes they thought that perhaps, just perhaps, if he could be restricted to the inferior courts for some time and watched other people be loyally, he might become more loyally himself. Logical?
Yes.
Well, then he would only have one more skill to learn, the ability to occasionally listen to other people. Can you imagine the guilt that those 2 lawyers feel to this very day?
Well, can you tell us about it?
Someday I hope to forgive myself. It's the last time John Randolph and I agreed on anything, and once again Mr. Randolph was wrong. But the man does have the gift of rhetoric. What's that expression with which he's credited? Give me liberty or give me death. What a turn of phrase. And when he delivered that oration in St. John's Church in Richmond, he was not talking to peasants. He was conversing with the cream of Virginia society, holding their attention in the palm of his hands with such phrases as, "Give me liberty," or "Give me death." Masterful. Might be why he stole it.
I know. He didn't make it up.
Any of you remember the name Cato, particularly Cato the Younger? The last Roman senator to stand before the tyrant Caesar. Well, back in 1713, a gentleman by the name of Joseph Addison wrote a play for the stage entitled Cato. As a matter of fact, it happens to be His Excellency General Washington's favorite theatrical piece. And he is an aficionado of the theater. I didn't know if you knew that or not. He attends it every night it's in town. He's also an aficionado of the dance. He steps a lively minuet, which is amazing for someone of his ungainly size. And,
Hi.
he's also an aficionado of Christiana Campbell's Tavern after the theater.
Here.
So passionate was His Excellency as regards to the story of the historic character of Cato, but also this play, that during that brutal and bitter winter at Valley Forge, he staged a production of Cato to remind his men why they were suffering what they were being asked to suffer. Well, let me take this opportunity to perhaps share a phrase or 2 with you with regards to that theatrical piece, but see if any of them sound remarkably familiar to you. And I would do so, but I must beg your indulgence and forgiveness in advance. I am not an artisan of the theater, nor do I claim to be one, thank God. But I believe the expression is, let me set the stage. You are now in the Roman Senate. Row upon row upon row of benches and seats where the senators in attendance may take repose to listen to the orations that are being delivered. Columns supporting a roof covering and protecting this great house of the people's government. Stairs coming down the opposing side of the chamber where they gather in the front, rising up, forming a rostrum where the individual senators may mount that rostrum to deliver their orations to the senators in attendance. Now this morning, Cato has been in his customary seat to the back of the chamber, and he has listened to call after call after call for appeasement. Appeasement! He knows you can never appease a tyrant and ever for the rest of your existence hold yourself any sort of man. And he's had enough. And he storms down the stairs to the front of the chamber to deliver his oration, and a messenger hands him a missive, and the contents of it literally stop him in his tracks. Now he can do one of two things. He can return to his seat and say nothing, or he can continue to the front of the chamber, mount the rostrum, deliver his oration, and perhaps even share the contents of the missive that he has just received. And he chooses to do the latter, and he says, "My son is dead, slain by the men of Caesar, but I do not weep. Rather, I think how beautiful is death when earned by virtue. Who would not be that youth? What pity is it that we can die but once to serve our country? The Roman Senate has resolved, till time give better prospect, to keep the sword unsheathed and turn its edge on Caesar. While there is hope, do not distrust the gods, but wait, at least till Caesar's near approach. Force us to yield. 'Twill never be too late to sue for chains and own a conqueror." Why? Why should Rome fall a moment ere her time? No. Let us draw her term of freedom out in its full length and spin it to the last. So shall we gain still one day's liberty. Then let me perish, but in Cato's judgment a day, an hour of virtuous liberty is worth an eternity in bondage. Remember, the hand of fate is over us, and heaven exacts severity from all our thoughts. It is not now a time to talk of aught, but of chains or conquest, of liberty or
Death.
Patrick Henry did not need to commit treason that night in St. John's Church by calling King George III the tyrant everyone knew he was. All he had to do was to remind every individual in attendance that when they see tyranny rise up, it is their duty, it is their responsibility, collectively and individually, to become the Catos of their own country. And that's the last nice thing I'm going to say about Mr. Henry.